welcome back to my channel. So it is time for my February plan with me, and I have already got an idea in mind for my color scheme. I have a couple of pens that I really want to use, and so I think I'm just going to go with that as my color scheme and like figure it out as I go sort of thing. So without further ado, let's head on over so I can show you how my experiments went in January, because I do have a couple of things that have changed in this new year, new setup, back to an A5, like all of that kind of stuff. I feel like it's going to be easier to kind of explain and walk you through everything over at the table, so let's jump right on in. So let's take a look at January. As you saw in my 2021 setup, I have been using my Galen leather cover, and oh, it's so pretty. Which I do leave my bullet journal at home, so it is kind of heavy, but because I'm not carrying it with me in my bag, I have obviously my work bullet journal that I do take with me. It's not too bad, but it is just really nice to have everything like all protected since I do use my notebook for a year. So I have got, my bullet journal and my notes book in here. I've just got a couple of things in my notes book. I honestly didn't even set up for February in here. I just have a couple of little collections that are already set up, but that's just kind of what I use this notebook for. Anytime I have a collection that I just need to jot some things down, or I know that when I'm looking for it, I want to be able to find it in here, I will just throw that in there, but I don't use it all the time, so in my bullet journal, I do have my index all set up. I do need to set up February, obviously, but I'll do that once I actually get everything set up in here, which I think that having split it into 4 columns is going to be good, because like this, I'm already up to January, so I think I would have run out of space. I might still run out of space, but I think I would have run out of space if I didn't split these, so that is working out well. Then I have my top 5 goals. So I did do little hash marks over here, and actually I'm gonna go ahead and do one on no work weekends because I have been working on that. And I also started a little bit in here, so just I can see which ones are in progress, which is basically all of them. We have future logs, so I will have to move this when I set up my February monthly. I will go ahead and put these at my like upcoming month section on the bottom of my monthly. Then my goals overview. So I am working on some stuff. I'm actually done with 2 of my Make 9 projects. So if you guys remember, which I don't actually have that paper here, it's in my collection bullet journal. So my Make 9 for this year, I have 3 of the 9 are kind of basics and undergarment projects. 3 of the 9 are going to be Edwardian / Victorian style, probably more Edwardian, but kind of, I'm not super historically accurate like in any way, so it's just kind of that vibe. And then the last 3 are 50s era. So I wanted to have a 50s era top, a 50s era circle skirt, and a 50s era crinoline. So I just finished making my top. Actually, this is the one, so the one I was wearing in the intro. It is the Common Stitch BELLBIRD button-up, and I wanted a blousey button-up top, and so this is obviously probably one of several that I will ultimately end up making, but the Make 9 was I wanted to make a button-up top because I've never done that style of like collar before. So that I finished last weekend. I actually have already made 2 different circle skirts. I have my teal corduroy, and then I just finished a raw silk, so it's I dyed it charcoal gray, but it's a raw silk skirt that I finished maybe 2 weekends ago, and I'm actually in progress on my 3rd 50s one, which is the crinoline, and that will actually be a video. So I am making pretty good headway on my Make 9. I think it really helped that I didn't specifically say which patterns I wanted to use for my Make 9. It was just kind of like these types of garments. So I have a lot of flexibility with that. And I also, these are all things that have been on my mind to make for a while. Whereas last year when I was doing the Make 9, I kind of pulled like, yes, patterns that I wanted to make, but I did very specific patterns. I did things that like maybe a year ago I would have worn, but now that I'm kind of figuring things out, like they didn't really suit my style anymore, or I wanted to make something different. And so I feel like this year I'm gonna do much better with the Make 9 because I'm leaving it just kind of more open to interpretation, which like is really the point. I'm doing this for myself, so there's no reason to set super strict rules that I'm gonna like not be able to finish this challenge if I have to try and follow them. So otherwise, we are doing pretty well on the books. We'll see that on my January monthly. And yeah, just kind kind of working on a couple of different things. A lot of these are actually in progress. I just haven't necessarily gone back through to do a tick mark saying that I've started on them, but I am kind of referring back to this really frequently, which is nice. I have my quarterly goals. So I did start working on my naturalization dossier. I booked my plane tickets for Italy for April, but I don't actually know if I'm gonna be able to go. So I'm kind of holding off to plan anything else until like February or March, just to kind of see which way the wind is blowing. And yeah, just kind of plugging along at things. Then I have over here, I have started filling some stuff out. So as you can see, I've done 3 weekends so far where I did not work on the weekend. So that is a really good start. I also finished this, which this was actually one of my Q1 goals, was to complete the documents list for my naturalization application. So that is good. And then we have our videos so far, posted 4 so far this year, which is kind of good. So that is just gonna be whatever, you know, keep on going. And then Q1 stuff. So as you can see here, Q1, I have started filling some stuff out. Technically, my top 3 for my naturalization was to finish the project page, and I did do that, but I only did it halfway through because I figured that I can go ahead and start collecting documents, and so that would be a good thing to do in Q1 as well. And I've started both booking for my trip to Italy and no work weekends. Again, not finished, but we're working on it. And as you can see, I've got some more that are crossed off over here, which is really nice. Yeah, just kind of going along. Honestly, I really like having everything all in one notebook. It feels like I am more likely to refer back to it frequently, and definitely having the, like, not needing to fill out that weekly page, because I do still use my Google Calendar. I feel like I have more energy and more like brain power left to brainstorm and plan stuff rather than just like filling out stuff. So that I think has been a really good change. So I do keep one of my 2 bookmarks on my Q1 goals and my running list, and then the other one I keep, I think, what do I keep it on? I keep it on my current weekly. We'll see that in a second. So here was my January intro page, and then monthly and intentions. So as you can see, I'm doing pretty well. I didn't really flesh out my create intention very much, so it's kind of in the works. But the others I've actually been doing really well. So this, I figured for January, completing the project page is great. I think what I'll do for February is to start collecting documents. I've got 3 out of 4 no work weekends so far. Obviously, I still have a week left. I've done 3 out of my 4 Talk to Me in Korean lessons, and I am working on filming and editing and all of that kind of stuff. Honestly, these 2 are hanging on for editing and for prepping because they're in progress videos. So one of them is for my crinoline, which I actually made some progress filming last night and making it. And the other one is for my walking skirt. So it looks like I have more to edit, but I actually don't have any completed videos left to edit. So I did actually kind of catch up on my backlog. And I have been really liking just filling in one monthly log as well. That's been really nice. I kind of mix everything together, how I'm feeling, what I got done, just all of the above. So that has been fantastic. And going back to tracker as usual. So in January, sorry, these sticky notes leave like a residue, which is kind of annoying, but oh well. So when I did my plan with me for January, I hadn't filled out this section, and it ended up working out really well because I have been listening to audiobooks so much. Like, honestly, I think I've read 19 books, which, to be fair, out of those 19, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 19 are second epilogues for the Bridgerton series, which those actually don't take very long to listen to, but on Goodreads, they're done as separate like books, so I am counting them. So technically I read 15 full books and 14 full books and 5 second epilogues, but still like a lot of reading, and literally all of them are audiobooks. I finally just leaned into the fact that I'm at a point right now, and this will change like in the next, 6 months or whenever, like this will kind of come in and out, but right now I'm at a point where I don't really want to sit on my couch and read. I want to like do stuff. So if I'm listening to an audiobook, I'm doing stuff. And then if I want to sit on my couch, I have TV shows that I'm really into. So like it kind of goes in waves. And so right now I'm just in an audiobook phase. And so I just kind of am running with it. So far in terms of the tracker, I don't miss anything that I left off for now. There was like one time when I was like, oh, maybe it would be nice to do the TV tracker again. But then I'm like, again, it all goes in waves. So if I have like a couple of days where it feels like I'm watching a lot of TV, I know that in a week or two, I'm gonna have 3 or 4 days where I don't watch any. And so I'm like not super fussed about it, so it's fine. So in terms of the things that I'm actually tracking, these do feel like things that I want to keep tracking. I do need to figure out something for cleaning, because typically if I do a little like slash like this, that means I didn't do it. But because I used to do it where I just left the square blank, but sometimes I would forget and I would assume that I had just forgotten to fill it out, even though really it was that I didn't do it. So now I do have a place marker for like, I didn't forget not to fill it out, I didn't do this. However, I started out doing a slash to say that I had done some of my cleaning last weekend, and then I was like, wait, that's like entirely contrary to what I do for the slash in the rest of my tracker. And so like I need to kind of figure out a way to do like a half, like I did some of it but not all of it kind of thing. So I don't know yet, but other than that, going really well. I'm really happy with having kind of a reduced tracker. In terms of reading tracker, obviously I love this. I always love this. I think that I'm gonna kind of play around for this month. I'm not 100% sure. We're gonna check that out, but I think that on like a regular, I won't need this many, like this much space for a reading tracker. I think this was kind of like a weird thing, but I don't know yet, so I don't wanna say like, oh, I'm not gonna do this again and set something else up and then run out of space. So we have to kind of see. But I did want to make sure I have a little bit of a review just so I can kind of do a review for the month. Again, this is one that I don't know if I'm gonna keep after a couple of months, just because I am also doing the weekly review on my like weekly spread. So we'll see how that goes. And then a sticky note of books that I am working on. Oh, actually, no, I didn't finish that one. I finished a different one. So I have a couple books I need to work on, but I always have like 10,000 books I wanna read. So sometimes books take me a while to get to, like, it's just the way it goes. So that is that. Then I have my anti-racism tracker. This one I've been kind of playing around with because what I really like is that this, I actually had a full spread. And so when I went into my weeklies, I just had like all of my weeklies are on a spread with facing pages. And because I don't do these, like I only do this the first time I set up the spread so that I can go back and refer to it, but I don't need to like print these out every time. I need this every time. So I want to kind of play around with the setup, and I have an idea. We're going to check that out. But otherwise, honestly, this month has been, I think that having that inauguration happen, it just like unlocked something in my mind and I was able to like focus on other stuff again. So that was really good. So I ended up doing more than I have been doing the past couple of months. I mean, I always do like things every month, and it's a combination of like, you know, donations, signing petitions, reading, and like that kind of stuff. It kind of depends. But this month I feel like I was just like really on the ball with stuff. So I finished reading Slavery by Another Name, which was like, we should be reading this in history class rather than the stuff that we do read. Like, yeah, it was really, really informative, very, very sad, but very, very interesting and important to know. And I am working on the second book. So I read Children of Blood and Bone at the end of last year because a friend of mine had lent me the book, and I actually was able to find the audiobook on my library. And so I was like, ooh, I really want to hear it, because there are certain things, like obviously when you read, you don't always like think about how things are pronounced, and because they have like the Orisha language and like all of this kind of stuff, I was like, I would really love to hear how it's like meant to be pronounced, because it's not something that I am aware of. Like, you know, if it was something in French, like I can kind of imagine what that's supposed to sound like, but if it's a language I'm unfamiliar with, I like to hear it. So I've been listening to the audiobook, which I have been like, I have way too many books, but that is one I want to finish up, hopefully before the end of this month. It's like, I just need to put it on while I'm doing some cleaning and stuff like that. So got to play around with a little bit on the setup, but this has been a pretty solid month of taking action and doing stuff. And then getting into weeklies. So I am obsessed with this. Honestly, I really, really like this setup. It has been working really well. So basically I have on the left page, I have the week, and and the dates in that week. And then I have work, personal, and sunshine and stationery. I have also been putting in my little like weekly thing, which I used to do this. I used to do it by hand, which was super obnoxious to handwrite. But now that I have my overlay stickers, which I actually have pulled them out, now that I have my overlay stickers, I have actually been doing that and just like highlighting the current week. And then I have my week in review. So I just like write down things that I liked. So it can be stuff I did, people, if I like did any like social distancing, social stuff, if I did a Skype chat with somebody, if I was extra stressed, like trying to just note down a couple of different things. And I actually will sometimes start filling it out in the middle of the week and then like wrap it up on Sunday kind of thing, but it's been really nice having this. And then I have all of my dailies over here, which, as you can see, I fit the entire week on this one spread and it works out really well. And this is one of those things I think one of the reasons that I used the PROJO for as long as I did is because I like to have like everything at a glance. And if I have everything in my bullet journal, then I always have to be flipping back and forth between stuff. And so what I have here is I have the weekly setup that I had in my PROJO and the daily setup that I always had in my bullet journal, and they're now all on one spread. And when I have it open, like I can see everything all at once. And I think that just like makes my brain so happy. So this has been really working very well. And as you can see, like I have a couple of little things that I do, you know, I had to migrate a couple of little things, but I actually have been getting through and I've been because I have this information right here, if I think of something, I put it on the weekly rather than dropping it on my daily. And so that keeps my dailies from getting like overcrowded with stuff I know I'm not gonna get to. And yeah, it's been good. It's been really, really good. So this is last week. And as you can see, you know, a couple of things that I had to migrate, but I did a lot of stuff and it worked out really well. I don't know what I did with these. I was like, I want to do this kind of a weird like bubble, but like a serif, and I don't know, but in Spanish, I don't know. I just kind of went with it. Also, my S got away from me. It's like way huge, but I just, you know, it did a thing. So I have set up this week so far, as you can see. So what I've been doing is I've been kind of alternating between copper and gray, and then I've been using the different inks on here. So I picked each week I've been using a different pen. So week 1 I actually used the teal one, so I'm back to that one for this because I only have 3 of these pens. But basically I choose one color to be the color I use for the headers and one color to be the color I use for all of the tasks, and then I just do my regular everyday writer on my dailies. So that is that. So actually what I can do is go ahead, and I keep my bookmark there. So I did work. I am currently filming and I actually did a little bit of grading. We'll see if I get any more done. So what am I in the middle of grading? I'm actually in the middle of grading this. I started last week. I'm just not done with it. This I'm in the middle of. I also started grading another one, but I can't remember which class it was, so we'll work on that later. And I think that is it for right now. I actually have a lot of stuff going on, and so that is why I haven't actually put my little week at a glance over here, just because I don't want to like put it here. It's kind of floating in the middle, but I'm kind of out of space here. So I think I'm actually going to leave it off for this week, just because if I need the space, I need the space. Like I don't really need that little calendar, so it's fine. So that is January. So let's take a look. February is going to start just right here, and actually I remembered to print my anti-racism tracker and I forgot to bring it over to the table. I'm going to go get that in a second, but let's take a look first. So I have decided I've been doing a quote and then the month for so long. I honestly don't even remember when I started. It's probably been a solid like 2 or 3 years at this point that I just do that every single month. And most of the time I will do either by the season or by the month is like how I will search for quotes. And so this month I decided to do something a little bit different. I have been currently obsessed with watching Once Upon a Time, which I know is super old, and I actually started watching it a while ago and then I didn't like really dive into it, and lately I've been putting it on while I sew and I'm hooked. Haha. Sorry. Anyway. If you know, you know. So I did a Google search of like top 10 Once Upon a Time quotes. So this one I actually haven't gotten to the episode yet, but I really liked the quote and it was said by So White. So I was like, you know what, we're gonna do it. And it's nice and short. So I went with, you can't let fear of failure keep you from trying. Like honestly, that's a good quote. You know what I mean? It's a good quote. So I'm gonna do this as my quote. And I mentioned in the intro that I have some pens that I want to use. So I got these pens, Pei Wen from over at CHOOSETODO sent me some extra stationery goodies when she sent me the notebook covers, and these ones were in there. And you probably know about my deep and undying love for PENTEL sign pens. They are they are my favorite brush pen of all time. And these are some of the new colors, and I have never seen them here in France. And so when I was thinking about what I wanted to do for a theme for February, I was like, well, I don't really want to do like a Valentine's theme, like that's not really my jam, but these colors are like, they're very bright, so it's gonna make me happy because it's not quite spring yet and it's like kind of dark and gloomy because it's winter. They're like, could vaguely be Valentine's if you wanted to take it that way, but they're also kind of just like bright and magical, and I'm going with a fairy tale quote, so why not? So I'm going to use these as the basis for my color scheme. I have no idea how exactly that's going to pan out as usual, and I will probably end up using these pens as well. Oops, that one is still open, because for example, I've got the teal, so I've got a teal here, I've got purple, I've got kind of a slate blue that kind of goes with this, so I think that I can make that work. And then of course I have my normal just you know, I've got a gray, what are you called? A gray gel pen, actually 2 gray gel pens. Like I have some other colors, but I'm just gonna kind of go sort of simple, but basically plan my entire color scheme around these pens. I also, as you might have seen, pulled out my overlays. I want to use that for doing the numbers on my monthly and on my tracker, just because honestly, they're so much easier and I have them. Ooh, you know what? I'm gonna actually do the rainbow ones because like, honestly, yeah, we're gonna do the rainbow ones even and not just the black ones. So yeah, I think that that is the plan. Otherwise, everything else is gonna stay the same. The one big change is I think what I wanna try and do, and I'm gonna show you kind of with this one. I think what I wanna do is actually, in order to keep it so that my weeklies have a full spread, and because I now have a lot more room on my tracker, I think what I'm gonna do is actually do almost like a tip-in with my anti-racism tracker on this corner of the page so that I can like flip it open and use the bottom part if I need to, and then have it open, because like the only thing it's gonna cover is near the end of the month, and I can easily just like flip that open, and we'll try it and see if that works, and if I don't like it, I'll do something different in March. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and we will do the time lapse. I'm also gonna go and run, I have to get scissors and I have to get my anti-racism tracker, and we're gonna start setting things up. So here is my final setup. Honestly, I really like how this page came out. I sort of decided at the end that I was going to do the of sort of vertically so I could fit everything, but I kind of like this sort of look. Trying when I first wrote it, I hated it because I have this like gap here, but honestly, it's evenly spaced enough that it's kind of growing on me. Also, I love how February came out. Like, I don't know why I decided to do my Fs like this, but I really enjoy that. So yeah, I am quite happy with the quote. I think that these colors and the fact that I picked a sort of fairy tale quote actually really go together, and I don't know, I just felt like it was kind of time for a different style of quote since I do this every single month and I have done for a while. At some point, you know, I pick my favorite quotes when I look up like the monthly ones, and it's just time to find a different sort of category, I guess. So really happy with how that came out. I have my monthly log and my intentions. So I did go with the rainbow overlay tapes, and honestly they go so well. Like, yeah, I was really worried that I wasn't going to end up using the rainbow overlay tapes because they're just not really like my style. Not that I dislike rainbows in any way, shape, or form, just I tend to go sort of more on like the darker side with my colors, and I don't really do a lot of metallics. But once I realized that these were going to be the colors for this month, like, it just kind of made sense. So I love how that came out. They're kind of probably hard to read if I get them face on like this, but kind of off to the side, you can see. So they are very, very pretty. February is actually a perfect month. I have 4 complete weeks, which I'm so excited about that. It also made it really easy for like counting and stuff like that. I did go ahead and pull the things that I had on my future log already over here, and I marked my holidays. I will have to go in after this and write in, you know, the hours that I'm at work, when I have my live chats, like all that kind of stuff, but I will do that later. I did go ahead and set up my intentions, which I don't always do, but I already kind of had this thought that I wanted to keep the same ones for February. So no work weekends, 4 Talk to Me in Korean lessons, YouTube backlog, create, and then I just updated, which this is completely messy. I should probably have used whiteout on it, but oh well, to start collecting my documents for my naturalization dossier. So I just have 2 specific things I have to do a little bit more than just like getting the papers out of my files. So I think that that is good to go. That way I already know what my intentions are for the month. Then I have my tracker. And so this is the one that I mentioned that I wasn't sure how I wanted to deal with how these, like the tracker and the anti-racism tracker pages were going to be set up, since I really do like having a full spread, like facing pages for my weeklies. And so what I decided is, because I have so much space now, you know, I have fewer things that I'm tracking. Also, it's February, so it's, you know, 3 days shorter than it was last month. I figured, why not try and see how sort of a tip-in situation would work? So I just used my glue runner, which I always have these on hand. They're really great for things like junk journaling, but I also use them to just do a nice clean line of tape. So I went ahead and I just tipped in my anti-racism tracker over here. So that way, you know, when I'm filling out my tracker and my reading on this side, I don't have to worry about it. And then the only thing is going to be near the end of the month, I'll have to kind of flip it over. If I have overrun from my reading tracker, I'll have to flip it open. And I think what I'm planning to do is to actually do my review up here, because since my tracker is 3 days shorter than January, and since this takes up about 2 squares, like that was how much glue I kind of had on there, I actually have basically the same amount of space that I had in my January spread. So if I need overrun for stuff, I have room over here. So we'll see how this goes. It's an experiment, as I mentioned. I wanted to see if I could kind of keep, I really like having all of my monthly spreads sort of on self-contained full facing page spreads, as opposed to having just one extra page sort of hanging out behind everything else. So we'll see how this goes. I think that because I'm in an A5, I will have enough space and it'll kind of keep things all together. So we'll see how, you know, we'll see how that goes. And then I will go just directly into my weeklies. And as I mentioned, I will be using, oops, here we go. I will be using these pens again, so I will probably do something similar to what I did this month, where I'll rotate through my dual color pens for the weeklies, and then I'll just use the PENTEL sign pens in rotating colors for my headers and for like the main weekly setup. So I think that is that. Let's head on over and do a quick little wrap up. So that is my February plan with me. Honestly, I'm really pleased with how everything has been going so far. I had a lot of things that I had changed up and sort of new setups that I was trying, or I wasn't really sure how I would readapt to moving back into an A5 notebook and, you know, making the best use of my space and all of that. But honestly, everything has been going really well, which is nice because that is not always the case when it comes to experiments. But I think this honestly shows that I am really figuring out how I plan and like what I really need. And so when I'm doing experiments, quote unquote, it's not as much as like, let's throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks. It's based on all of my past experiences. Here's what I think is going to work the best. And the fact that it's going pretty well means that I was pretty honest with myself about what I needed when I sat down and tried to figure out how I wanted to update my system in order to work even better for me this year. So that is really good. That's really good news, I guess. And it's just a really good feeling to know that I don't lie to myself about my planner system, I guess. So I'm super excited for my really bright and honestly kind of springy colors for February. I think that's going to be really nice because definitely getting to the end of January into February, it's a little bit gloomy, and so I feel like I need that extra color just to kind of like keep my spirits up. So that is all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any comments or questions, let me know down below, and I will see you in my next one. Bye. Hey guys, so if you've made it all the way to the end of this video and are actually watching my end screen and you're not subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you would. There's a little button right there for you to do it. And if you're interested in watching some more of my videos, I have links to 2 of my older videos off to the left there, so you can check those out if you would like to, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.